Hi everyone and assalamu alaikum to the fifth episode of the studio, and the topic for today is how to ace a job interview. Myself, Mohammed Shahroz, and with me is Meeshal and Saba. Meeshal and Saba dono तारुफ की मोहताज नहीं, but let me just introduce both of them. Meeshal is the HR business partner and lead employee engagement for the PK side, and she has been leading the ibex's employee engagement and the whole employee base for PK. Welcome, Michelle, to this live studio. And same goes
Thank you for
to
having me.
you're welcome. We are pleased to have you. So Saba is the HR business partner and the senior manager HRBP team at I2C, and she has been leading a lot of initiatives for I2C in the HR business partnering team, and she has also got a diverse experience in human resources. So welcome, Saba, as well.
Thank you, Shahroz. Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, I would like to praise the audience. We have a lot of people with us, Ganesh, Naeem, Sadullah, Awais, all of them. Thank you very much for being participant of this studio's initiative. So, the core purpose of this podcast is primarily to help the people who are looking for a job, and also to help you from the HR perspective, that how can you become better in what you already are. So it's always about being a better version of yourself, and this is what has always been. Thank you very much, Ahmed Abu Diab. Hi. And as we can see, there are a lot of comments coming there, so I would rather welcome on all of our behalf to the audience. So let us start with the topic for today, which is how to ace a job interview. First thing first, to understand why, at what stage the job interview comes in. So this is the stage where you've already presented your CV and it has been shortlisted by an HR professional, and they're calling you for an interview with the hiring manager. So now you have to understand and be in that shoe, that okay, you've been called at a job interview, your initial piece of paper has been shortlisted and accepted, so that they can call you in at a place, at a specific business setting, and at a specific time schedule, that you have to come and present yourself. So for that, we will start from here, that you're at this time stage. So first thing, I would like to ask Michelle that how important it is that if you're calling somebody, and what would you be looking into a candidate before he appears for an interview, जिसे कहते हैं interview से पहले का एक impression. So what do you think, what you have to say on that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Shahroz. I think it is essentially very important to understand what kind of job you're hiring for. So, for instance, I've been hiring for tech resources, I've been hiring for digital marketers as well. So, if you're hiring for a digital marketer, you need to understand and list down your own prerequisites to hire your own best candidate. So, for instance, if I'm looking to hire a content marketer, for example, so for on my first screening call, I will make sure that the candidate falls in the right criteria of ibex, or for instance any organization hiring them. So they have to have good communication skills. This is the first screening call, and they have to be considerate enough to fall under the salary range that we're offering, so it doesn't become a problem afterwards. So these are the two important things, and I think if we move ahead to a face-to-face meeting, then of course it's a whole lot of other debate, and I think we have a lot of other elements involved when we move ahead to a face-to-face
Oh, yes.
interaction.
And now let us dig down a bit into that debate. Thank you very much for this briefer. So, Sabah, I would like to ask you that, when the candidate is going to appear, और कोई 1 घंटा रह जाता है या कोई 15 मिनट रह जाते हैं. So, what do you think a candidate should better be doing, like 5 to 15 minutes before, or he has reached to the place where he's, described to be? So, what do you think that candidate should be doing then?
Yeah, thank you, Shahroz, for giving me this opportunity to talk about this session, right? So, जैसे विशाल ने कहा कि obviously the initial screening call, all the prerequisites that are needed to fulfill the requirement of the job. Once that is done and candidate is being called upon within the premises for the interview. So first of all, I think being a recruiter or being a hiring manager, you should be able to gauge कि आपको wait क्यों नहीं करना पड़ा candidate का. Candidate should be on time, well before time. एक तो time से पहले आप आए, right? And you should be understanding the job requirement and job description, right? आप जिस role के लिए जा रहे हो, rather than just being a very having a very holistic kind of approach कि मैं अब let's say कि HR manager के लिए जा रहा हूँ तो मैं overall सारी चीजें manage कर लूँगा और मैं ये बात बता भी दूँगा. Rather, you should be focusing on what is the actual job description. आपको उसके ऊपर आपकी preparation या grip है that should be strong enough कि आप अपने interviewer को या अपने जो hiring manager है उसको convince कर सकें कि why you are a best fit for that role, right? आपको अपने
Okay,
why की understanding होनी चाहिए. You
I
should be
understand.
knowing कि अक्सर interviewers जो है कैंडिडेट से जो सवाल पूछते हैं after the brief introduction, that is why should I hire you? और ये क्वेश्चन एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन होता है जिसपे अक्सर लोग जो हैं वो आंसर दे नहीं पा रहे होते हैं. रीजन ये होती है कि हर कैंडिडेट को ये लगता है दैट आई विल बी द बेस्ट फिट फॉर दिस रोल. बट आपको अपने वाई का आंसर पता होना चाहिए, राइट? एंड उस वाई का आंसर यही है कि आपको एक्चुअल रिक्वायरमेंट्स का पता हो कि आप किस रोल के लिए हायर हो रहे हो, योर बॉडी लैंग्वेज, योर बीइंग ऑन द टाइम एंड सम अदर्स. डेफिनेटली दूसरी चीजें भी हैं दैट आई विल बी कमेंटिंग ऑन लेटर. लेकिन ओवरऑल ये सब चीजें जो है वो आपको जॉब इंटरव्यू में अपीयर होने से पहले फोकस कर रहे होना चाहिए.
बिल्कुल ठीक है. And Mishal, here we have a question of Ibrahim Shah. He's asking what you want to see when hiring a digital marketer. So it's a very broad
Okay.
term question, but being yeah,
It definitely is a very broad term. So, what's his name again?
Ibrahim, yeah,
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim Shah.
Right. So I think, Ibrahim, if you're looking to be a digital marketer, it is essentially very important to have to be backed by the right education. You need to understand and have enough education, maybe a master's degree or a bachelor's degree of marketing. This is, in my understanding, this has to be a prerequisite. And if you're willing to explore all the dynamics of digital marketing, good for you. But you need to have focus on one area of digital marketing. So perhaps it can be maybe search engine optimization, it can be content marketing, it can be organic research building, it can be any other result oriented, search engine oriented education. So you need to figure out which area do you need to essentially work on and build a career to.
Great. Thank you very much for answering that, and I hope Ibrahim has got his answer. So now, Michelle, I would like to ask you about presenting yourself in the interview. Like, what do you see in a candidate, a best candidate who has presented himself well in terms of the dressing, in terms of the persona, in terms of the vibes he or she carries. So, if you can, elaborate that a bit.
Absolutely. I think I mean, call me old fashioned, but I work on vibes and energy. So the moment the person steps in, the body language says it all. So the first 15 minutes of the candidate, it decides either it's a yes or it's a no. So well presented, it is very important to wear your best outfit in the closet. Don't overdo it, don't underdo it. Do not put a lot of perfume. It is fine to smell good, but don't overdo it. Um, I think I think if you're dressed up well enough and you're confident, you're yourself, you know what you're talking about. Um, I think all should work
That's
well for
great.
you.
And with that, Ibrahim Shah is also saying thank you so much for answering me. That's it. That's his response. And
Pleasure, my
Sabah,
pleasure.
I would like to carry on this remarks of Mishal, these remarks of Mishal, that you should be presentable enough, and there are certain things of do's and don'ts. So if you can elaborate a bit more into the don'ts, and also jump into the side of showcasing your skills and achievements to the interviewer. Like, how can you initiate the discussion with the interviewer as soon as the interviewer is saying to sit down and uh, uh, tell something about your experience and professional side of the story.
Yeah. So, well, exactly, Mishal has well elaborated about how you should carry yourself. Obviously, the things that she said are more than accurate. You should not be overdoing anything. उसमें कपड़े भी आ जाते हैं, उसमें आपका overall पूरा एक persona भी आ जाता है. So once you are comfortable in what you are, just be yourself वाला scene. उसके बाद व्हेन यू स्टार्ट योर कन्वर्सेशन आपको अपना इंट्रोडक्शन अच्छा करवाना आना चाहिए बिकॉज आप इंट्रोडक्शन के बाद नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन से मूव करते हैं इंट्रोडक्शन इज एक्चुअली द थिंग जिसके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा बहुत से लोगों को मैंने अपनी एक्सपीरियंस में देखा है कि दे आर नॉट एबल टू इंट्रोड्यूस देमसेल्फ प्रॉपरली मतलब जब आपसे ये पूछा जाता है कि इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ so you should be able to give some concrete kind of a description about yourself आपका नाम, आपका एक्सपीरियंस, आपकी जॉब से रिलेटेड जितनी भी चीज़ें हैं, इसके अलावा आपकी एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड, ये सब चीज़ें बताने के बाद देन यू शुड बी मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द एक्चुअल क्वेश्चन जो कि इंटरव्यूअर आपसे पूछ सकता है, राइट? तो उसमें आपको ऑब्वियसली आपकी साइड से अगर कोई क्वेश्चन है दैट शुड बी इंसाइटफुल रादर देन जस्ट बीइंग ऑन द सिंपल साइड ऑफ द थिंग कि
Mhm. I understand. And we'll also be equally moving towards the questions as well. So we carry them on with our discussion so that it can be more engaging with the people who are listening to it. So Mohammed Adil has a question that how to get a job as a ERP functional consultant after CMA or ACCA. Give me some tips for the interview. So Adil, for that, whenever there is a job, you just see the job description, put your CV across those lines as per the job description, which becomes a resume then instead of a CV. And you can also reach out to me if you are looking for an ERP functional consultancy role. Then I have a question on presentation skill. Ehsan Zaman. Ehsan, if you can later on specify what question you have in your presentation skills. See, this question shows that you really have a question and you need to elaborate it in terms of presentation. You need to tell, okay, sawal kya hai? Then comes Bilal Tahir, good, but I thought it was latest technologies. Okay, so Nimra Askar is asking what to do if we don't know the answer of any question. Okay, so I would rather put it to Mishal. Mishal, नहीं जी मुश्किल आ गई है इंटरव्यू ने ऐसे सवाल पूछ लिया है कि you don't know the answer of it. So what to do?
Yeah. See, now there are two things. There are two scenarios in this particularly. So one is if, for example, if I am a product person and if the question is related to a certain product I've
Mhm.
worked on or a certain project I've worked on and I do not know the answer of it, then we have a red flag. Then there is a problem, which essentially means that the person has worked on a certain product and does not know the answer. So you can be honest. You can perhaps just be take the right path and be honest about the fact that you've perhaps forgotten about this particular concept or you haven't brushed off your concepts well enough so you don't have it on the top of your head. This is one thing. I think this is, according to me, I think the best way to deal with such a situation is to perhaps just be honest about it.
That's great. So being honest about it.
Maybe Saba can
For
elaborate
Saba,
more
I
on
have
that,
another
or maybe
question.
Shahroz,
There
you
are a
can
lot of coming,
elaborate.
a lot of questions coming, and I suppose,
Yeah.
Mishal, you have elaborated it very well. Saba, for you, there is a question in line. What if a person is talented and not a good communicator? What are the
Hmm.
chances of passing the interview? This is by Mudassir Ahmed.
Communication is definitely a thing that is important and that plays a vital role while presenting in interview. ठीक है तो वो आपका अच्छा होना चाहिए बट दैट डज नॉट नेसेसरली मीन कि अगर आपको इंग्लिश बोलना नहीं आ रही है तो आप कोई उल्टी सीधी चीज बोल दें इट्स रादर बेटर कि आप जिस लैंग्वेज में कंफर्टेबल है जस्ट बी योरसेल्फ ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट इफेक्टिवली रादर देन फोकसिंग कि यार मैं बहुत अच्छी इंग्लिश बोल सकता हूँ या मैं नहीं बोल सकती हूँ आप इफेक्टिवली कम्युनिकेट करो आप जो बात कहना चाह रहे हो वो अगले को समझ आनी चाहिए राइट
बिल्कुल ठीक है
इट इज
एंड
अ गुड थिंग आपको इंग्लिश आनी चाहिए बट अगर नहीं आती तो दैट मीन्स आपके इंटरव्यूअर को भी आइडिया होना चाहिए बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली इंटरव्यू से पहले देयर इज अ स्क्रीनिंग कॉल राइट अगर तो वो जॉब रोल जो है वो डिमांड करता है कि यू शुड बी स्पीकिंग इंग्लिश देन ऑब्वियसली आप उस सीट पे बैठे ही नहीं होगे देन
एग्जैक्टली
अदरवाइज
तभी आपको इंटरव्यू
अगर रोल
कॉल
है
ही नहीं आएगी.
जिसकी बाइलिंगुअल काम चल सकता है तो डेफिनेटली recruiter has done his or her job already before calling you in for the interview right तो आप जो भी बात करो, you should be able to talk effectively rather than focusing on the vocabulary and synonyms and इस तरह की चीजें. It's always better कि आप अपनी language में काम करें.
And Mukesh had mentioned something. I have to go back to his question. So Mukesh, आपका comment जो है दोबारा अगर आप कर दें, I'm not able to see your previous one, but we'll be really looking forward to your new one since you have mentioned that we didn't. Okay, so Mukesh का जो question है, Mishal, it's with you. How to ace a technical
Mm-hmm.
interview and not get anxious when you're not able to answer all the questions.
So, again, if you're unable to answer any particular question in a technical interview, you lower your chances of hiring ultimately. So, obviously, if in an X company is hiring for a technical position, they expect a resource to be able to answer, if not all, then at least 90% of the questions. So, if you don't know the answer, give it your best shot. Your possible best answer should be able to work well for you.
Great. And now it's the time, like mid of the interview, अब जितनी हमने discussion कर ली है, उसी को अब साथ carry out कर रहे हैं. So now, Saba, to you, that for example, now we have set the pace. The interviewer knows, okay, he is going good, he's sound technically, and now the interview is kind of lingering on. कोई समझ ले mid में पहुंच चुके हैं और आधा घंटा गुजर चुका है इंटरव्यू में. अब what kind of
Hmm.
body language a person should be possessing, and technically how he can manage the interview to be taken on his terms, in terms कि अगर आप अक्सर औकात ऐसे होता है, you speak such words कि let's say मैंने उस प्रोजेक्ट पर ये चीज अचीव की थी, and you feed the interviewer कि वो आपसे उसी तरह के सवाल पूछे. तो उसको किस तरह से मैनेज किया जाए during the regular course of interview?
राइट. सो शरोज, वंस आप जेलन हो जाते हो इंटरव्यू के स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर, इंटरव्यूअर कंफर्टेबल हो गया है, यू हैव मैनेज्ड टू इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ वेल, आपका अब वो स्टेज आ चुका है जहाँ पे यू वांट टू शोकेस योर स्ट्रेंथ्स, राइट? So this is the time when you should be focusing or rather explaining the key achievements during your whole tenure of your experiences. अगर आप एक experienced candidate हो, otherwise if you're a fresh grad, in that case you should be focusing your strengths, like आप किस चीज में बेस्ट हो, आप किस चीज को अचीव करना चाहते हो, आपके करियर गोल्स क्या हैं. ये चीजें अगर आप बताने के काबिल हो और अगर आप कन्विंस कर सकते हो, इफ यू कैन कन्विंस योर इंटरव्यूअर, देन ऑब्वियसली देयर इज अ चांस कि आपकी प्रोबेबिलिटी जो है दैट विल बी हायर एज कंपैरिजन टू द अदर्स, अगर आपको अपनी स्किल्स को हाईलाइट करना आ रहा है ड्यूरिंग द इंटरव्यू.
Noted. And इसी में उमैर का एक सवाल है, Sabah, if you can answer that. It is basically regarding the introduction, but I just wanted to mention it over here because I didn't wanted it to get missed. Basically, he was asking that कितना detail answer introduction में आप दे सकते हैं, like how much time you should be taking in giving that first answer in terms of the interview.
Yeah, is it related to introduction part?
Yeah, introduction.
Yeah, so I believe introduction should be comprehensive enough, not too lengthy, not too short. It should be rather focusing on saying आप क्या हैं, आप क्या करना चाहते हैं, why you are here for the job, और आपकी key achievements क्या हैं. I think this is the best comprehensive kind of a thing, जो कि it should not be taking more than 5 minutes or maybe 2 minutes. आप अपना brief introduction दे सकते हो इस time.
यानी from a range of 2 to 5 minutes जो है, मतलब we can see के एक introduction दिया जा सकता है.
5 भी I believe काफी लंबा टाइम है, but I think 2 से 3 मिनट के अंदर आप एक अच्छा इंट्रोडक्शन दे सकते हो.
I understand. And just for your information, Mishal, Nimra Asghar is saying thank you to you for the answer which you recently gave to her. So
Sure.
then let's move ahead towards the next part in terms of handling the nervousness during the interview. कोई ऐसा सवाल पूछ लिया गया कि मतलब it was unexpected और यू हैव गॉन नर्वस, या फिर कोई ऐसा पास्ट हिस्ट्री में, लेट्स से किसी की अगर जॉब स्विचिंग बहुत ज़्यादा है और उससे रिलेटेड अक्सर औकात होता है कि यू डोंट हैव मेनी जस्टिफिकेशंस बेस्ड अपॉन सिनेरियोज या कोई भी और क्वेश्चन, तो उस नर्वसनेस को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है? इफ मिशाल यू कैन शेड लाइट on it a bit, and then Sabah, I'll be asking you the same.
So, Okay, so for me, a little bit of nervous nerve is important. It's important to feel a little nervous. I still feel nervous. If I was nervous even before this podcast. So for me, being nervous, it's a good sign. I take it as a
Mhm.
good sign. So if you're nervous, it's essential to feel a little nervous. It helps you be alert. It helps you be at your best. So it's completely all right if you're nervous. It just comes with it. So don't sort of try overdo it to don't overdo it in order to control your nervousness, because that also itself becomes pretty evident in your confidence level, in your body language. So don't try very hard to control your nervousness. If you're nervous, it comes with the package. It's fine to be nervous, and it's a good sign. So I deal with my nervousness with this strategy. Perhaps maybe Shahroz, you can elaborate on how you deal with your nervousness.
ओके नाउ इट्स मेरा सवाल मुझे पर वापस आ गया है सो इसका जवाब नर्वस की अगर बात करें सो आई पर्सनली टेक इट एज वेरी नेचुरल मतलब इट शुडंट लुक लाइक मैकेनिस्टिक और एक वो कहते हैं ना आप याद करके आए हुए हैं सारे इंटरव्यूज के पार्ट और आपने फर बता दिए सो नर्वसनेस शोज दैट यू आर थिंकिंग फ्रॉम योर ब्रेन यू आर गोइंग इन द इमेजिनेशन वर्ल्ड यू आर ड्राइंग सम इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम द बैकग्राउंड एंड देन यू आर कमिंग अप विद इट you're taking your time.
I also feel that being nervous becomes a very organic part of the whole process. So you're telling that interview that I've been thinking about it, I want this, and I'm serious about this. Hence, I'm nervous. So if a candidate comes in when I interview candidates, and if the person is
Hmm.
nervous, I take it as a good sign. So it's absolutely natural and
So
organic
does
to
the interviewer
feel
offer a cup of
nervous.
tea or coffee or
Well, I
uh,
do.
ये
that's
Well,
why I
I
yeah,
do
asked.
तो
that.
वैसे
So,
इसमें बिल्कुल सही बात कह रहे हैं इसमें इंटरव्यूअर का भी आई थिंक बहुत बड़ा हाथ हो
Hmm.
जाता है इन दैट सिनेरियो इफ द
जी जी
कैंडिडेट इज
जी,
नॉट फीलिंग
that
कंफर्टेबल
is true.
मेक हिम और हर कंफर्टेबल ऑन द फर्स्ट प्लेस ऑब्वियसली एंड और बिल्कुल
बिल्कुल
ठीक
ऐसे ही
बात
है.
कह रहे हैं कि इट इज वेरी नॉर्मल टू फील नर्वस बट यू शुड बी सेंसिबल इनफ टू ओवरकम योर नर्वसनेस नॉट दैट इन इसको इतना लंबा फेज में आप ले जाएं कि एक्चुअली रिक्रूटर को लगने लग जाए कि यार ये बहुत नर्वस है इसको कुछ नहीं आ रहा you should be able to manage it properly. You should be able to manage the situation, mindfully.
एक उर्दू में सेइंग भी है ना, कि नौकरी नहीं देगा लेकिन घर तो आने देगा. तो बस वो सोच के जाए. नर्वस होने वाले कोई कोई टेंशन
So
नहीं है.
like what max can go wrong? I totally agree, and it eventually is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I understand, and being assertive at the same time, not and keeping that calm with you is something which I think is important. And I hope the audience is catching up to our pace. First of all, I would like to again thank you all, whoever is listening to us, and Mishal and Saba. Both of you are doing great with this. People are learning from this podcast. And then if I go towards uh, wrapping up the interview, like now the discussion is going on, and now you see that okay, it's a time coming up where there are certain things left which you surely need to tell them, but the interviewer is saying okay, he's already satisfied, kind of you're getting a satisfied vibe. So is the first thing first कि क्या वो आपको बताना चाहिए उस टाइम पे, या you should let it go, ठीक है यार, I'm getting the positive vibe. So किस तरह इसको manage करना चाहिए, Mishal, if you can shed a bit light there.
Sorry, I lost the plot
Yeah.
for
For
the
example,
question.
now it's a time of closure for the interview, and it's almost going to end in like
Mm-hmm.
5 6 minutes. You're able to see from the questions they have been short now. Now they are converted into okay, how
Mm-hmm.
do you commute to work? How will you come there? So you get an idea. Okay, now it's coming to that part. And if there
To an
are
end.
certain things which you are still required to tell, you think that it is important to tell, but the overall interview has been really well, that already aced it.
Hmm.
So, do you think the candidate should still tell those things, or should let it go?
So, okay, there is a yes to it
Hmm.
and a no to it, because not over-educating your employer is
Yeah.
also recommended, and not under-educating your employer is recommended either. So, you really have to go with the flow, understand where the discussion is
Mhm.
heading, see if the employer wants to understand more about you, learn more about you, or if you feel that the employer is educated enough and you don't need to perhaps over educate the employer. I think you can restrict your comments or your any suggestions. So you have to sort of go with the flow, thoda mahal dekh ke, thoda vibe
Vibe
understand
gauge
karke,
करके
only then
डालते
you can perhaps
हैं.
yeah, only then you can maybe move ahead or restrict your comments. So that really depends. That's really a real time
Noted.
kind of
And
thing.
Saba, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, same. So basically, I was saying कि आप जब इस closure की तरफ जा रहे हैं, so you should be able to gauge the vibe of the whole situation. कि अगर ये मैं बता देता हूँ तो ये too much information वाली चीज़ तो नहीं हो जाती है या ये वो वाली चीज़ है जहाँ पे I should be closing with the interview. Like too much information is also not very good all the time. तो आप उतनी information दें जितनी required है during that interview,
हाँ.
right? अगर आप बहुत ज़्यादा
But I also would like to add. Sorry, आप बोले.
no problem, it's okay.
जी जी बताएं.
Yeah, so basically मैं वही कह रही थी कि too much information also sometime become detrimental in that sense.
Yeah.
अगर आपको लगता है कि information ज़रूरी है, then go for it. But again, assessing the situation is your responsibility, not the interviewer. ठीक है, अगर आप खुद इस काबिल हैं कि आप गेज कर पा रहे हैं, आपको लग रहा है कि मैं 2-3 मिनट में बात बता सकता हूँ, then you should go for it. Otherwise, if you think कि यार नहीं, this should be a closure, ये बहुत लंबी detail है, I should not be telling it. So obviously, again, assessing the situation is your responsibility.
Okay, and thank you very much to both of you
Yeah.
for answering this. Now we are heading towards the last phase of this podcast, which is basically now you have aced it, you have covered your technical aspects, you have covered all of the things which were required in the interview. You kept your calm, you have answered most of the questions, and just to add on, कि सब सवालों के सही जवाब देना जरूरी नहीं है. It's more about how do you handle the pressure of the interview. It's more about how positive you have been throughout the interview, and how much you have shown to the interviewer that you're committed to work with them. Because an interviewer is primarily looking for 3-4 things as far as the hiring manager is concerned. क्या मेरे साथ कितना टाइम ये जॉब पर मेरे साथ रहेगा. वजह ये हायरिंग मैनेजर चाहे आप जिस भी पोजीशन के लिए अप्लाई करें, ऑब्वियसली you will be trained for that position by the company. So you have to spend and you have to tell them that I'll be spending this much time in terms of the loyalty. Then comes the part of being positive and a team player. कि आपका जो current company का team का culture है, are you adaptable enough to you wouldn't be able to know the culture until you come there. So are you adaptable enough and flexible enough to adapt to any culture? And all of the other aspects. So once you know कि हाँ यार ये सब मैंने बता चुका हूँ and I've already told it, now it's the part that you're going home, you have went for it, and now you have to thank uh, the interviewer. बहुत कम होता है, मतलब thank you email right after the interview आती है. इसके बारे में like how do you feel, and do you think what should be the right approach to thank after an interview? Mishal, if you can start with
Well, I love thank you emails always.
that.
So if I receive an email that elaborates on the fact that we have been helpful throughout the recruitment process, that the person has learned something from our recruitment process, I think it's important to share your experience with the employer. And it's always recommended to say thank you. It's always recommended to tell them, give them any constructive feedback that may help them improve their recruitment process. And just adding to your previous comment, I think ensuring or giving essentially an impression that you're here for a longer run. You're not here or you're not joining any employer just for the sake of it. You're looking a career with them. You're looking to build a career. You're looking to build your resume with them. So having the intention of showing the intention of being with them for a longer run, I think it says a lot about a person and their
No,
morals.
I certainly agree. And Ahsan Zaman has a question for you, Saba. That when the interviewer asks that you have any questions about the company or about their self, okay, about themselves. So, what do you have to say to them? Like, if the interviewer asks that if they have any questions for about the company or something. So that's towards the closing side. So,
So
क्या
that is
कहते
your golden opportunity, right? Uh,
हैं?
for an for a candidate, it's a golden opportunity कि आप अपने questions पूछें. So this is your time to ask insightful question about the company, its future trajectory. आप उसके future goals पूछ सकते हैं. आपको whatever questions you have, you should be asking them rather than being on the assumption side के यहाँ पे ये होगा या ये होगा. You should be asking straight. What are the benefits? What is the future trajectory of the company? मेरा करियर गोल क्या होगा, मेरा करियर पाथ क्या होगा, ये सब चीजें यू शुड बी आस्किंग, राइट? क्योंकि दिस इज द टाइम व्हेन क्या एक्चुअली क्या इंटरव्यू वांट यू टू इंटरव्यू वांट टू असेस योर परसेप्शन अबाउट दैट रोल कि आपको वो कहाँ देख रहा है. तो आप
Noted.
उनसे बिल्कुल पूछें, लेकिन इट शुड नॉट बी लाइक सिली क्वेश्चंस नहीं होने चाहिए.
और इससे
मुझे
मुझे एक
लगता है
चीज़
कि
याद आ
क्वेश्चन
गई।
थॉटफुल
ये
एंड
क्वेश्चन
इंसाइटफुल.
वाला जो लफ्ज़ है ना, इससे मुझे एक चीज़ याद आ गई, वो ये है कि लेट्स से बीइंग पुशी राइट आफ्टर इंटरव्यू सेइंग व्हाट इज़ द रिजल्ट, or maybe
या
right after an hour or so, like मतलब let them breathe, give them मिशाल, आपके ख्याल से कितना, मतलब 1 या 2 दिन काफ़ी हैं फॉर द फीडबैक, या उसके हवाले से कितना टाइम यू थिंक इज़ इनफ, या 1 हफ्ता?
Okay, so again, that really depends on the
या
company's own recruitment process. But I think being too pushy will rather negatively impact your application than having to impact it any positively. So I think if you really need to follow up on your application, perhaps you can take 2 days time to follow up
आई
on your
थिंक वंस इन अ
application.
वीक फॉलोड
And
बाय योर इंटरव्यू के बाद एक वीक एटलीस्ट आप वेट करना चाहिए आपको.
Rather, I think it's also recommended to ask the interviewer how long it is going to take for you guys to
रिस्पॉन्ड बैक.
exactly.
give me
So
feedback,
at the time of interview.
respond back. So you take that absolute. So you take that timeline and you apply that on your application. So that itself will sort of protect you from being too pushy.
Okay, and the last question, which we are taking from the comments. Thank you very much, Michal, for and Saba for answering this. So it's going to be the last question is of Saad Fiaz, and it's kind of important, so that's why I wanted to bring it up here. He's asking if you're conducting
Mhm.
the interview of the person whom you have already rejected in the past. So does the past matters? This is what he's primarily asking. So, like, if there has been a past rejection, so first I would like to add something here for Saad Vyas, that if you've already been called for an interview, so it means that past doesn't matter. But eventually, Mishra, if you can briefly address to this, and Sabah as well.
Sure. Well, if you've been rejected in the past, so my question is why were you rejected? This will be my first question. So if you were rejected on the basis of skills, perhaps you have worked on them, perhaps you have become a better candidate. However, if you have been rejected on behavioral aspects, then I am not too sure if the same strategy would
Agreed.
apply. So, nonetheless, if you've been rejected, it is absolutely fine to apply again on the same application and understand where you're falling at the time.
Totally agree. And Sabah, just for the closing of this question, anything which you have to say?
Yeah, so basically, again, देखिए, in the first interview, yeah, in the past, if you have been interviewed and rejected, so interviewer must have your comments, or his or her feedback about your past interview. ये वो किस वजह से reject हुआ था,
Mhm.
ठीक है? Again, वही चीज़ है, आपको अगर उस feedback, उस interview का feedback आपके पास है as a candidate, and you have worked on points या that feedback matters for you, और आपने उस पर काम किया है, and you have applied again. So definitely there is a chance कि आपको दोबारा वो इंटरव्यू में फेयर होने का भी चांस मिल सकता है, सेलेक्ट होने का भी चांस मिल सकता है. बट
Totally
अगेन
agreed.
अगर आपकी स्किल्स नहीं है, then there is no point coming up again.
Perfect. So
In
I
that
would.
case, pass it.
Noted, noted. So, first of all, Mishal and Saba, both of you, thank you very much for these insights. And I hope this will really help the people who are looking for a job, and those who are already doing but want to polish themselves as an individual. So these insights were really helpful. And Mukesh, yes, you can get back to me. You can reach out to me directly. Thank you for the comments. And also, this is just a start for this podcast. Uh, it's going to be, there will be a lot of rounds which Mishal will be taking throughout. With, I know Saba is also going to be taking care of that, and also myself. So you can wait for more to come. This is just one of the topic which we have discussed today. So this panel is going to invite a lot of new guest speakers, and it's going to be something which will be exciting for the future. And I would like to thank you, all the participants who have been part of this podcast, and to the panelists, Mishal and Saba. So to both of you, kudos and thank you very much for your precious time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome. Thank you.
So bye bye, and take a good care of yourself. Thank you.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Shahroz.